Well, this is the Dove Lady again. And tonight I was just looking at some of my latest orbs for the month of December and also November. And the colors are just so magnificent, I wanted to share them. So I'm mostly going to just be quiet and just let some of this go by. I've got my computer set on pan and zoom for this particular bunch of orbs. I took these outdoors a couple of days ago, and the sun is the light source for these. You can see the sun was shining through the tree. I can't take it right directly of the sun with the sun, nothing between the sun and my camera, because then it's just too bright and I don't get a good orb. It's too much light. But the colors lately have been so spectacular. I'm changing positions. There. Had to get easy. Sit back in my chair. I was watching something about the Mandela effect the other day. It was by one called Lone Eagle, and he was showing pictures that he was finding, and people were sending him pictures of that were taken back in the 1800s, at the time when you posed for a picture, you had to hold your face a certain way for a couple of minutes because it took so long for it to develop, the taking of it. So they didn't get fast motion. Everything had to be that people waited so long for the picture to take. But he was showing pictures of people jumping and falling and throwing things around that showed no blur at all. And he was just remarking about cameras nowadays can hardly keep up with the motion. Sometimes you get a blur. And here are all these pictures from the 1800s with people in motion, jumping in midair, and all kinds of things, and no blur. And he was just amazed. He called it the Mandela effect. Well, it could be. But what I thought about it was pictures can get better after you've taken them. So maybe my orb pictures will get even better, because sometimes, I think they could be a little more clear or a little more colorful. So I got that thought in my mind that perhaps pictures can get better on their own, as those seem to have done. I can't explain it, how cameras of that day could take fast motion pictures and not show a blur. But that he proved it pretty good for what he showed on his program, that indeed that has happened. So I just hope that my pictures get better and better and more clear. They seem to be. They certainly are getting way more colorful than ever before. It's funny about the Mandela effect, because in in my experience, people around me, they don't want to hear about it. They don't want to think that it could be true. And they think to talk about it is just a foolish thing. And if I talk about it to them, I feel so put down by them, but that like, how could I be so dumb? And I think this is something a lot of people, not just myself, have noticed, and there's a lot of information out there, some of it quite telling as to the truth of some of it, that, residual evidence is found that things used to be a certain way that have changed, and now they're no longer that way. And even the history of looking them up proves that they never were the way we remembered them, especially some of the verses in the Bible that have changed, that I know have changed for a fact. Only in the King James Version, though, because that's the only one I've ever read. But, yeah, there's some changes, and it's a really funny thing that people have such strange reaction to learning that maybe our reality is not as solid. I guess that's what you could say, is not as substantial as they would like to think it is. So, fear causes people not to look into things. And it causes people to dismiss things or tell other people, oh, you're just crazy. But I've learned not to let that bother me. Used to, it bothered me, but it doesn't bother me anymore. Thank goodness. I'm free from letting other people's judgments be anything that will disturb me. Now, it would disturb me if they thought bad of me for a reason that I gave them, that perhaps I did something really terrible. If I did that and they thought bad of me, I would be concerned. But for something I observe that to me seems true and I want to talk about, and they don't want to, well, I'm not going to be embarrassed over that. I just learn who I can talk to and who I can't. And there's not very many that I can talk to about it. Most people are hiding from this Mandela effect. They don't want to hear about it. And I kind of understand where they're coming from, but I think we all need to be brave and be willing to consider things without making snap judgments of something. I look at these orb pictures very often and I think, well, I don't know what they are. I have conjectured many times about what they may be, but it's not going to keep me from being interested in them just because I don't understand them. I'm getting a lot of entertainment just in seeing how beautiful they can be and how colorful they can be. That little round thing you see there, that's been showing up a lot lately. Used to be it was something I called the patch that showed up, but now it's this little round thing that sometimes you can see it has a hole in the middle, and other times you can't tell that about it. This is a strange, strange little world of color and form that's in it's in a dimension that's right here where we are, but yet it's nothing tangible about it. It's visual only. Nothing you can put your finger on. Or even explain. I made some videos recently that didn't take, for some reason they didn't go to YouTube, and I've got to redo them. It's another book I'm beginning to read, and it's by George Adamski, the man that rode around in spaceships with our space brothers. And the subject matter he's talking about is telepathy. It's very, very interesting. And I realized upon reading it that telepathy is a universal language. And it's one where a person can't be deceitful because you read the thoughts of another. You don't hear their language and decipher language. No. What you think is what you transmit and what other people receive. So there's no distortions and there's no language barrier. So it's a really wonderful thing to understand, because I think we can talk to other people with telepathy and get a lot more information and meaning when we talk that way rather than with language. There's never any two alike. They're all so different. There's similarities between some of the pictures I take, but nothing's ever identical. Some people like to point out to me when they look at my videos of these orbs, they like to see faces. And sometimes, you know, it looks like a face here and there. A lot of scary faces sometimes. And then just all kinds of things you can imagine yourself seeing in these orbs. I don't think it means anything. It's just a happenstance kind of thing. I used to have a favorite orb, but now I have so many favorites. I can't have a favorite anymore because there's so many of them that are so gorgeous that it's hard to have a favorite one anymore. This is probably going to cut off any minute. That's the way this video does on my camera, on my cell phone camera. It just never lets me know. It just does it. Suddenly I'll be talking and suddenly it ends. So I'll just let it go out with pictures instead of me talking. I'll shut up now.